Well, hello everyone. This is Jojo Kaiser. I'm back with another video for you guys today. Hopefully you all are having yourselves a wonderful day. So for today's video, I decided to do things a little bit different for a change. Instead of making a storytime video like I would usually do, I figured that I might as well go on Reddit and see if there's some interesting stories that I would like to share for you all. If you guys enjoy me making these types of videos in the future, just subscribe to my channel and put your comments down below if you want me to make these types of videos. Now without further ado, let's get on to it. Our first Reddit story is from Zelius Ideal. For the past few days, I've been thinking a lot about some of the ridiculous things my dad did while growing up, and I just stumbled across this community fortunately. Here's a story that I'll share. When I started college, I used public transport and a bike to get to and from school and work because I wasn't able to afford a car. Well, one day, my bike was stolen, so I solely started relying on public transportation. So my job consisted on 8-hour shifts where I would get off at 11:30 p.m. At this time, the trains and buses were usually not running. My dad and I lived at this time. He also typically got off late and would drive past my work on his way home every night. For a little while, he would pick me up on his way home and give me a ride. After doing this a few times, he suddenly started refusing to give me a ride home. He found an old, neglected bike that his girlfriend got at a garage sale and told me I could use it to get home. The bike was in pretty bad condition and was basically being held together with duct tape, but I tried to use it. Once winter rolled around, the bike was impossible to ride due to the snow and ice. My dad flat out refused to give me rides home after work, saying he wanted to teach me a lesson about independence and that I was taking advantage of his generosity by not utilizing my other options for transportation. So I, at the time an 18-year-old female, started walking 10 blocks home in the middle of winter at 11:30 p.m. This went on for about a year until I found a different job. Fast forward 5 years later, my dad started having absence seizures and could no longer safely drive. For the first little bit, I felt bad for him and gave him rides everywhere. After a while, my dad started calling me all the time and guilt-tripping me for not being available to give him rides when I was working or too busy with something. I reminded my dad that he can utilize other transportation options. I really don't want to be mean to him. It's unfortunate that he just started having seizures, but at the same time, he was the kind of jerk to me when I was vulnerable and needed him, and I can't just be his personal chauffeur. I just wanted to clarify a few things. I do try to help my dad whenever I am available. I was more referring to all the times when he was like, "Oh, I wanted to go to my yoga class, but my kids wouldn't let me." The walk took 30 minutes, so I would typically get home at midnight. As far as I know, there aren't any disability private road options where we live, but it looks like there is a carpooling program, so I could probably introduce him to that. He also gets a free public transportation pass throughout his job and he makes very good money, so he also has the option of getting a taxi or Uber if absolutely necessary. I think the main reason he relies on me and my siblings for rides is because he has difficulty getting around with a lot of people. So he's no longer close with many of his friends and other immediate family members. He's not a senior citizen. I'm not trying to treat him like a teenager. He's fit and only in his mid-40s. Our next Reddit story is from Sofa Patata. I, a 20-something-year-old female, live in Texas with my amazing partner who is a 26-year-old male. I moved here almost 8 months ago with him. Since I moved to Texas from New York, I have been in completely no contact with my biological mother, who is a 41-year-old female. The few years leading up to me moving, I went to university and a pandemic started. In university, I met my amazing partner and we've been together for over 2 years now. I absolutely adore him. Leading up to me moving, I told my mother absolutely nothing about my relationship since I know she'd act like she was also in the relationship with me. This would be included but not limited to taking my phone from me mid-conversation and talking to them, never leaving us alone together, wanting to be a part of video calls and instantly wanting them to be over so she could talk to them more. She had previously done all these things while I was in a past relationship, but before university. I thought this was normal since I was raised in a very conservative Christian house. While I have been no contact with my mother, I had recently reconnected with my biological father, who is a 45-year-old male. It's been nice getting to know my father since he was matured since I was a kid and respected my boundaries. In a recent text exchange from my father, he brought it to my attention that my mother wanted to come to him when he visited, and she wanted to do this without telling me. My father told her that he would not allow her to come to him unless I was allowed, which I didn't. Now, according to my father, my mother and grandmother are planning to come down to where I live because I have been practicing witchcraft and they need to save me. While I do now identify as pagan, their audacity baffles me. They believe they have a place in my home without my permission because I feel like I'm falling too far away from their god. I will not be answering the door for anyone I'm not expecting, and I will be getting a camera doorbell. This is giving me so much anxiety anytime I hear someone speaking in the hallway or even walk near our door. I know if she ever does show up, I'll be calling the police and filing domestic abuse reports for previous times from when I lived with her. I have a plan, but that doesn't help my anxiety right now. Now, my initial leaving of my mother's home was because she kicked me out, which is another story, but I can post that later. My mother pretty much made herself to be the victim after telling me to leave, which makes her idea of coming down to see me even more stupid since she's the reason I left in the first place. Well, there you have it. My mother is an entitled parent. Our last Reddit story for today is from BBY, DDY, Mac. Sorry for any typos or grammar mistakes, I'm on mobile. So this happened New Year's Day of this year. I'm at a Rockets game with my family, and before I go take my seat to get food. Now, mind you, they weren't behind me yet. So around this time, I'm still a slight distance from the person in front of me, even though I'm vaxxed and maxed up, I'm still back. In comes the entitled parent. First of all, they're complaining about how it's not fair there aren't separate lines for the food place. At the Toyota Center, all the food places each have one line despite selling different things. Then they get in line behind me. I'm minding my business now and I can hear them getting closer. EP is with another person during this time. They weren't really enforcing the COVID-19 rules, but I was still minding them. So back to them getting in line, like I said, I was at least 6 feet away from the person in front of me. But in comes the entitled parent standing not even a foot away from, literally so close that EP brushed against me several times. At this time, I'm slowly inching forward, and each time I do, the entitled parent scooches up too. I turned around frustrated, asking that they please back up and mind the 6 feet rule because it's rude to stand that close against a random person, and plus they weren't even wearing a mask, and I've been lucky enough to not catch the virus. Then, the entitled parent scoffs at me and says they weren't even that close, and I defended myself, saying I could literally feel the denim of the jacket they were wearing against my arm. The entitled parent tries to defend themselves, saying that they were very vaxxed and it doesn't matter. So I turn around and ignore them. Not even a minute later, I can feel them again brushing against my back. I'm almost in the front of the line at this point, so I assume I can handle it for the last minute or so. I was very, very wrong. They bumped into me right before I'm due to order, and I turn around asking them quite loudly that they please back up. The entitled parent snaps and starts telling me about how I'm too close to them despite me being in front of them. So I go order my food and find the nearest security personnel and report them both. Security goes over and starts escorting them somewhere, but I was smug and hoped they got in trouble for essentially harassing me even though I was in the right. Unless y'all think otherwise. And with that comes the end of my very first Reddit story video for you all. If you guys enjoy this video format that I'm doing for the very first time, please subscribe to the channel for more in the future, as well as comment down below if you want me to make more videos like this in the future. A link to all my social media pages will be down in the description below. Please go check them out, they're very cool. And with all that said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. This is JoJo Kaiser, signing out. Make sure you stay sexy and wear a condom. Peace!